Hi everyone, my name is Azad and I'm going to be a physician one day. I want to take you guys to that journey with me. But this is not regular vlogging where I just post a day in a life of a student. No, this is where I share real educational content with you and take it through the end. For now, I'm going to share anatomy and physiology content with you. And if you are going into nursing school, or even med school and you're excited like me and you wanna just do a crash course in anatomy, these videos are the best because I'm gonna see through the end. It's not gonna be like a video series of 3 and 4 videos and then I ask you to buy my content to see my videos further. I am gonna take it to the end. So let's get started. By definition, anatomy is the discipline that investigates the body structures. For example, shape and size of bones. Why do we need to learn anatomy? What is the need? So for that, to understand that, I want to take this analogy on where you want to fix cars and you want to learn how to fix cars. You wouldn't just go and start fixing the car without learning the structures of the car or how they work. In the same way with anatomy, the doctors, the nurses, the health professionals, what they do is they learn each and every aspect of the body and they correlate and find abnormalities and diagnose, but they can't do all that stuff without learning the basics. So there are several ways that you learn anatomy, and by understanding the basic of it, it's really easy for you to remember. For example, throughout the lifespan, what's the most basic thing that humans do? They develop. That's the first type of anatomy, which is called developmental anatomy. So by definition, developmental anatomy is something where, actually we'll get to that later, but first let's try to remember what categories are of the anatomy. So first is developmental anatomy, and it has a subdivision which is called embryology. That is where the first human being starts developing, in the embryo. And then what's the basic unit of life? That's cells. That's like basic biology. So after developmental, we go more basic and we study cells. And the study of cells is called cytology. Whole bunch of cells combine to form different organs, but before they become different organs, they become tissue. So we study tissues, and the study of tissues is called histology. Histology. All right. And then those tissues becomes organs, and that's where this term comes. And I don't know why they named it gross anatomy, but they call it gross anatomy. Gross anatomy is divided into two specific parts. One is you can learn gross anatomy systematic wise or by region where a specific organ is located. And then comes the surface anatomy. At last but not least, there's anatomical imaging. So let's talk about developmental anatomy. Now we'll go further into the definitions of these terms, and then we'll study this in depth throughout my video series. So if you've come this far, do like and do comment. Right, anyhow, let's go to understand developmental anatomy. By term, developmental anatomy is the study of development of a human being from conception to adulthood, where they learn what kind of changes go through a body during that period of time. On the other hand, embryology is the subspecialty to it, or like a special subspecialty of developmental anatomy, where in embryology you learn the changes that happens to a fetus, specifically from conception to the 8th week. Then we come to cytology, which is very basic study of cells. So that's cytology. Then comes the study of tissues, which is histology. Gross anatomy. Gross anatomy can be defined as the bigger picture, where you are moving on from microscopes and looking with your naked eye on those things. And then comes the surface anatomy. Surface anatomy is by the visual or by palpation or touching. Doctors can determine where a certain organ is. Anatomical imaging, we'll discuss each type of anatomical imaging. There are x-rays, CT scans, PET scans, ultrasound. There are very different types of anatomical imaging. We'll go into further detail in the next video, because those are tricky one to remember and tricky one to understand, because there is too much information to it. So let's revise. Today we defined anatomy, types of anatomies, and then next we will go to what kind of anatomical imaging exists.